Lanto speaking. We have a October surprise for all of you today. We'll see how well this goes. There should be several parts. Special guest speaker today. We're going to introduce here, you may know him, January 6er. Been my roommate for 2.5 days, maybe 3 days now. So, big name. Lots of news pieces about him. I think I have. I'm pretty sure I said his name on this program at least once. And the thing is, with my sources, I have a tablet, and I don't get to read all the articles. I have some pacer stuff, but we know that the government isn't always honest with their casework and stuff. They're looking for convictions. And this case is probably one of the most notorious cases in American history, and it probably will be for a very long time. So the thing is, I wanted to be fair to both my viewers and to our guest here, and make sure that he has the option of telling his side of the story. I think it's only fair. I think he's a pretty good guy. I don't know all of his everything, but we've had a lot of time to talk for the past couple of days. Our time might be getting cut short, so we're taking this opportunity to allow him to tell anything and everything that he wants. This is a very pro-First Amendment and free speech platform. So we're going to give him as much time as he needs to say whatever he wants. And let's see here. I'm thinking if I'm missing anything. Anything you want me to address with us? Okay, so he's going to take the phone here, and this again introduction, Ryan Samsel. So one of the first January 6 cases, and take a look at me.
Hey, so my name's Ryan Samsel. So most people may have heard of who I am. I'm the guy accused of being at the first breach at the Capitol on January 6th. The infamous picture of Ray Epps whispering into my ear. A lot of people don't know that what Ray Epps said to me, and I've said it over multiple platforms, what he said, Stu Peters, Gateway Pundit, and other outlets during interviews. He also lied on 60 Minutes and said that he told me to calm down. When if you look at the video, the first breach, if you ever get a chance to look at it, the whole truth, you'll notice that, yes, I was the first person to walk up to the gate. I walked up to the gate. Why? Because I wanted to be on the property so I could be close to Donald Trump, because I thought he was going to speak to us at the pretty much the back of the Capitol. There's a platform, and we were about what seemed to be a half a mile away, and there was no way we would be able to hear him. So I walked up to the bike rack, and I asked the police officer, "Say, why can't we come closer and be on the property?" And he picked his fist up towards me and cocked his hand back and told me to back the F up. At that point, I pulled the fence, and I took my jacket off, and I told the cop to take his best shot after he had threatened me. That's when Ray Epps walks up to me, and he does not whisper, but he puts his hands in a whispering motion, but he yells pretty loudly, "You have to push. You can't pull, you have to push." As he's saying that, the gate to my left starts to fall forward, and you'll see that a guy to my right standing in front of the cop that I'm charged with assaulting actually assaulted her, not me. So when he's pushing real hard, I push and let go of the gate while they keep pushing the gate. When the cop to my left falls, Caroline Edwards, I immediately run over and I scoop her from underneath her arms, and I kind of do what they call like a fireman cat drag, and drag her out of what I thought was harm's way so the crowd didn't exceedingly walk over her. She told the cops to come down that I was the guy who had helped who had helped her, and when she started walking up towards the back of the Capitol on the second police line, I handed her what had dropped. She had said thank you, and she also written in her reports that I was the guy who had saved her. Well, because certain outlets had posted my picture and Ray Epps, I released the tapes. Ray Epps had called the FBI literally hours later and gave a lying statement. So when the FBI kicked my door in and arrested me, they did not indict me for nearly a year. So I go to jail, and the FBI wants to speak with me right away. And so they have pretty much like a brigade of cops that drive me directly from Philadelphia to D.C. with the lights on. We went through red lights. There's a convoy, basically, and through each state, different cop would take the charge, and we didn't stop. And it was I felt like it was like a presidential thing. It was weird. I was very shocked. Get to D.C. jail, and that's when the assault had happened sometime in March. I don't want to get into too much of it, but you could see that it's been pretty public that my nose was broke, my eye socket was broke, I had a ruptured kidney, blood clots, full vision in my right eye, broken jaw, fractured ribs. So they essentially beat me up because they wanted to instill fear in the other January 6ers. I would never say that I was a leader, because I'm not a leader. I don't think there's any one leader of this, but I could say that I had a personality on the unit that was encouraging people not to be scared and plead guilty. A lot of guys had never been in trouble. Not the proudest moments of my life, but I do have a few misdemeanors in my back. I kind of understood the justice system and the guidelines and how things particularly worked, and I would explain to these guys, hey, look, you're not facing 20 years. You're facing 3 or 2 with the guideline system. And I think that the feds kind of got an idea that I was, explaining to these guys what was going on, and making them feel comfortable, and that was making the Fed's job a little harder. So what not better than to beat the guy up who's helping these guys. And so when they beat me up, they knew that would get me out of jail and away from them. And that's essentially what happened. Later on, I had been transferred through. Now this is my 29th, 30, 31. This will be my 33rd transfer since. And so I've been to too many places to really talk about, but I've been all over. So I went down to Virginia and was assaulted a second time and placed in a restraint chair after the New York Times had put a hit piece out and said that I would be testifying against the Proud Boys. Obviously, if anybody has kept up with the Proud Boys case, you'll see that was a complete fabrication into getting the jail to put me in the hole. They also put that there was allegations of me in a sex case, and nobody reads the word allegation, and they did these things so they could purposely put me in the solitary confinement. The day they put me in solitary confinement was the same exact day that I was assaulted, and I ended up getting rushed to the emergency room due to another head fracture and knocked unconscious, and they actually had to perform CPR to revive me, and that's all my medical paperwork. That's all public. I've released it publicly. Everything I say, I do have medical documents to back up what I'm saying. Long story short, I ended up getting indicted because I refused to testify, refused to lie for the government, because that's what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to come public and say that Ray Epps was that Ray Epps ran over and picked up that officer off the ground. And if I would have went with their narrative, I would have gone home. And my wife wouldn't have been charged, Rachel Janko, and my life would have essentially went back to normal. But then you, the listener, would have not known the truth, and I don't think that's right. So I feel like I sacrificed a lot of my freedom and a lot of my life just so the average person get the truth. So it's kind of hurtful when you go through these things and, you know, the average person's talking bad about you. There's not one time I punched a cop or put my arm up to hit a cop, and I got aggravated assault with a deadly and dangerous weapon for pushing and pulling a bike rack. If I had any intent, if I had intent to hurt a cop, then why would I run over instantly and pick her up? You know, I did that because I didn't have intent to hurt nobody. I wasn't angry at that female. I was angry at the cop that had threatened me, told me he was going to punch my face. Yeah, of course. But I've never swung on him. I never did anything to harm him. And I've been in jail ever since. So when I went to trial, I had 13 charges. I was found guilty on only 2 charges. So it was worth going to trial. And I got found guilty of the assault on that officer, although she came to court and said I was not the guy who pushed the gate in front of her. But because I was found guilty of the court of the public opinion, because so many news stations immediately said Ryan Samsel pushed that cop down. And because so many news stations said that for 3 years, even when the judge seen the video that I was not the one in front of the cop, even when the cop took the stand and said, no, he was not the guy in front of me, just because so many news stations said that I was the one that did it, she found me guilty. And she found everybody else not guilty, except me. And I asked people to look at that. You'll also see a famous picture of me that I was in a cell in Philadelphia on a blue mat that went super viral, that former President Trump had made comments on, and a lot of people marked the green, but yet nobody has done a goddamn thing about it. Then you'll hear some people say, no, it was fake. Well, the only way that rumor of it being fake was a so-called Christian friend of mine, who I thought was a friend, was jealous that it went viral. I don't know anything about this viral stuff. I'm not really a media person and social media. I don't care about that. I'm a grown man. I don't care about how many likes or followers I have. Was Jake Lang, somebody who I initially thought was my friend and who I thought was a good Christian, but the more I've learned, he ended up being the complete opposite. And what he did was he went on Mel Holly's show. He got a voice-altering app. He altered his voice, and him in Hong Kong went on to Mel's show. And
you have 1 minute remaining.
And Jake Lang said that I never got beat up. He said that I was never put in that cell. Well, then later, Zachary Real and many other Gen 6ers came out and said, no, Ryan's telling the truth. And I doubt that 30 people behind my back without me talking will come out and say that Ryan's telling the truth when they're all in different places, all at different times. It would be kind of hard to do that. And then when I asked Jake why he did that, he didn't have an answer. And well, if I'm going to hang up now, and I'll call you guys back in 15 minutes and pick up where I left off.
Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Okay, this is End of the Road News, part 2 with Ryan Samsel. You want to take it? All right.
Hey, I'm back. So I was at where I got left off because we got a 15-minute limit here. So I was talking about Jake Lang and Hong Kong, how they have went to the media without using our names. You know, I have a Christian faith, and I do a lot of I'm obviously not the most perfect Christian. But my thing is this, if you look at the scripture, things that Jesus will say to be weary of, be wary of the guys out in the street yelling that they're fasting and letting the whole neighborhood know they're fasting. And, there's no reason for me to tell the public that I donated this to this person. Like, everything that you're supposed to do as a Christian, you keep to yourself between you and God. You don't need to tell the whole world that you're fasting. You don't need to tell the whole world that you did good deeds, unless you're doing it for the world and not for God. And therefore, my opinion is that's not very Christian-like. The things that I have done, I will never speak upon them. I don't need to. It's between me and God, and God will judge me for what I do. I don't need a person to judge me for what I do. And just put it this way, I'll send you guys the text message. I have asked, when I've been down and out, I have asked for help from Hong and Jake, and they have refused me over and over and over. Like, I needed a lawyer, and I have a lawyer now who doesn't even speak to me. And again, I went to trial. Not that there's nothing wrong with somebody who pleads guilty, but I went through a lot. And if I would have played guilty, I would have went home. But I didn't want to plead guilty because in that guilty plea was lies. And I only thought that if I went to trial, I could tell the truth. And a lot of the truth came out during trial, which was great. But how come when I ask for help, I don't get it from Jake and Hong? Like, Hong, something wasn't right. Like, so I asked my lawyer, Hong had contacted my lawyer a long time ago and asked my lawyer all kinds of personal questions, and my lawyer didn't feel right telling them. And when I asked my lawyer if he wanted to help my medical, Hong denied trying to help with medical. It was a lie. He never wanted to help with medical. When I asked Jake to help me with getting my surgery, he went to the Gateway Pundit and told the Gateway Pundit articles that he's going to the Gen 6 Truth or Legal is going to step out. He even took on large donors to help him pay for medical and Gen 6ers. And I know a lot of people Jake has refused to help because these people are not willing to come out publicly and say he's our leader, because he's not. We don't have a leader. God's our leader. However, at the end of the day, whether you believe in God or not, God is our leader. I mean, I don't follow Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not my leader. I mean, do I like him? Yeah, he's a man. And there's things about Donald Trump that I dislike, and most people are going to go crazy. Like, what do you mean? I don't like a lot of things about Donald Trump. Do I want him to be the president? Absolutely. Do I think he's the greatest person off the earth? Absolutely not. Now, a lot of people will say that January 6th happened solely because of Donald Trump. I don't believe that either. My views are a little bit different. Like, I haven't always been strong in the politics. My reason for going to January 6th is because I'm anti-late-term abortion, and my livelihood got taken away from me, so I had joined the gym that had become extremely famous because they refused to shut down. I called it Tillis Gym. I went to the gym, and the gym owner allowed me to cut hair there, and Governor Phil Murphy stopped us from making any type of money, put boards up, and, they kicked through the thing, and I was invited to go to January 6th to listen to his speech. Unfortunately, I ended up being on the front line. It had to be somebody, so I guess it was me, and here it is. Like I said, I do believe that God put me there because I believe that because of my faith in God when I was being beaten and kept in that cell, I think a lot of people who didn't have the same life experience as I have had would have went with the government's narrative and lied. And I didn't want to lie. Did I break the law today? Yeah, I guess I did. I pushed and pulled on the gate, and I went on the property that was supposed to be closed. Did I intend to hurt anybody? No, I never intended to hurt nobody. I never threw a punch. I never did anything to try to hurt somebody. I threw a piece of wood at the Capitol pillar. I hit the Capitol pillar, and I got an aggravated assault with a deadly and dangerous weapon on an officer, and there was no officers even around. I just threw a piece of wood at the pillar, and I got aggravated assault for pushing a bike rack. And then I also got one that I beat during trial because when I was standing there, they shot a kid in his face and put a hole in his face. And while I was tending to his wound, his name was Josh Black. Look him up, and you can look up that scenario. I was tending to his wound. The cops came over after they shot him for. He literally was peacefully standing there. They tried to arrest him for no reason, and I just got between him and the police, and I said, hey, I'm tending to his wound. Leave him alone. He's not doing nothing. And they said that was an aggravated assault with a deadly and dangerous weapon. And it was not even a weapon. So when they tried to describe weapon, they said that the cop that was holding the shield, that I could have potentially used that as a weapon, and I was charged that. So, I was overly charged, and then you're going to get, the news that convicted me wasn't the acts of that day. It was the news. They convicted me. They got the whole world to hate me. And, I'm not, going to here and get super religious, but one thing that I take pride in is I could share one thing with Jesus, whether you believe him or not. I could share one thing with him is when he says, the world will hate you, and remember, it hated me too because I picked you from the world. It will hate you. Some along those lines. So, if the whole world hates me, then so be it. I don't really care anyways. I just want to let a lot of people know that please be wary that there are wolves in sheep's clothing out there, and they're making a mockery of our faith. And if I was a person that get donations and help people, I wouldn't pick and choose who I help, depending on if they're willing to publicly put me on a pedestal. It's exactly what I wouldn't do, and I had the opportunity to have that organization, and when I asked myself the question, am I the right person for this? I said, no, there's a lot of people out there that made a lot of money off of my name and my situation, and I didn't. I didn't get any help for the medical. I still don't get commissary. Like some people get commissary fund. I don't get no commissary help. Nobody helps me besides my family. And it's not nobody's responsibility to help me. It's also nobody's responsibility to pay these organizations, and these organizations pocket the money and say, oh, yeah, we help people, and we go on these public fasts. Look, I'll tell you right now, I've been into places when people say they've been on fast, and it's a lot. I've been there. I was in MDC, Brooklyn. And, man, it's just, they lie. And you know who I'm talking about. Like, these people go public and they lie. And I would love to be face-to-face with Jake Lang in Hong Kong and ask them, how come you turned... I have the articles where they said, oh, yeah, we're going to come out and help Ryan Samsel. Let's do an article together. Let's get fundraising. And then when it's come time to help me, either they pocketed the money or they sent it elsewhere. So why are you lying to people and saying that you're helping me? How come every time I reach out to you, and then if it's me, okay, fine, but how come every other January 6th, like Dominic Pizzullo, he's been turned down when he's asked. So many other people that I know. Rachel Janko, she had asked when she was living in her car, she reached out to Jake Lang. She had nowhere to go. She just got charged over and over and over again, and Jake Lang had turned her down, but he doesn't. He only picks and chooses, and I don't think that that's right. I think that everybody should be equally helped. And one might say, well, it's not his responsibility. Yeah, you're right. If he would have not made it his responsibility, but when you use somebody's name to collect money, and you call that person a friend, and you publicly promise to help that person if you collected money used in certain scenarios, and then stealing interviews, telling me that people have canceled interviews and then taking the interview and putting it about yourself and making money off it, and then you turn around and you put in a separation behind my back. And not only that, then you go publicly and change your voice. If he was telling the truth, then why would you change your voice? And I asked everybody, ask Mel Holly, why did Jake Lang change his voice to do the interview? If you're telling the truth, I don't change my voice here. I'm telling you, Jake Lang called up, changed his voice. Why? Because he's not being forthtelling. If you're an honest person, you won't change your voice. You should have no shame in it. But when you lie, you have to stay in the dark. And they live and lie. And that's pretty much a lot of my thing. And I call out Hong and Jake. And I'm going to continue to call him out. Just like, he calls out Cynthia Hughes with the Patriot, some kind of Patriot fund that also she went on Newsmax.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.